quick. Graph y equals negative 3/2 times the cube root of x plus 2 by hand, two different ways, part of the family of functions series. You will need graph paper or download this PDF and print it. Press pause as needed anytime during this video. You first need to decide what the parent function is and its shape. So this is the cube root function, and its shape is this curve right here, a sideways cubic function. Identify the parameters, and those are values in the expression that affect the graph. There are two of them in this function. How do they affect the graph? Well, the negative 3/2 multiply each y value by negative 3/2, and the plus 2 adds 2 to each of the y values. What should we consider first? Well, we suggest plotting the point of inflection first. This is called a point of inflection right here, where the curve changes from concave up, a smile, to concave down, a frown. It's called a point of inflection, where it changes concavity. Normally that is at the origin, but for this one, the x values are not changed at all, only the y values. And it says to multiply by negative 3/2 and then add 2. So our point of inflection is going to be at 0, 2, right there, which is also a y-intercept. From this point, we do the cube root dance, but we have to multiply the y values by negative 3/2. So instead of right 1, up 1 in the cube root dance, it's going to be right 1, down 3/2. Negative 3/2 times positive 1 is negative 3/2. Instead of right 8, up 2, it's going to be right 8, down 3. Negative 3/2 times 2 is negative 3, down 3. Instead of left 1, up 1, it will be left 1, up positive 3/2. Negative times negative positive 3/2. And instead of left 8, down 2, it will be left 8, up 3. Negative 3/2 times 2 is positive 3. Connect the points, make it look like a cube root looking graph. And point of inflection, again, is at 0, 2, also a y-intercept. And we compare it to the parent function. And notice it opens differently because of the negative sign. Second way, using a table. These are our 5 key points on the cube root graph. Looking at the parameters, they both affect the y values only, so the x coordinates are unchanged, so we'll keep them the same. The 3/2 multiplies each y value, and the plus 2 adds 2 to each y value. And according to the order of operations, we do multiplication before we do addition. So we're going to multiply by 3/2 first, add 2 second. So 2 times negative 3/2 would be negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. Those computations are shown right here. So plot the point 8, negative 1. Go ahead and finish the table. Press pause to do that and resume when you're ready. One times negative 3/2 plus 2, and think of 2 as positive 4/2, so that will give you positive 1/2, plotting 1, 1/2. 0 times negative 3/2 is 0 plus 2 is 2, so plot 0, 2. Negative 1 times negative 3/2 is positive 3/2, plus 4/2, which is 2, is positive 7/2, negative 1, 7/2. And negative 2 times negative 3/2 is positive 3, plus 2 is 5. So negative 8, 5. Connect the points, make it look like a cube root graph, and compare it to the parent function. Now you try one. Graph y equals the opposite of the cube root of x, minus 3. Use either method or both for the practice. Press pause to do this and then resume when you're finished to check your answer. And here is the answer in green along with a table of values.